The Colours That Blind, Chapter 31, Ambuya's Story. That afternoon, as I walked onto the clinic compound, I could feel the stares as they followed me. Men and women sat in little groups talking among themselves. A few patients from the village who were there with concerns about minor ailments sat on the bench outside waiting to be seen by the nurse. Amai had said the doctor had been called to the clinic, but he had so many villages to attend to that it could be hours before he was able to get to us. It didn't make things any better that the roads were becoming more unsafe with landmines positioned to ambush the security forces. At the side of the clinic, a small group of women sat around a fire, stirring cauldrons filled with mountains of sadza and vegetables. Others carried things in and out of the clinic, cleaned and prayed. It was always like that. People came together to help, even if their problems required attention. That is what intertwined the African village. My eyes scanned around. I could see Teacher Edwards and another man carrying a stretcher into the clinic. My eyes roamed again, looking, searching. Thandui? I turned. Tawana was walking towards me, a smile on his face. Is everything all right? Is your mother all right? I'm here to help. Anything I can do. That's very kind of you. We need all the help we can get. Nurse Edwards can use your nursing skills. I hesitated. Do you think she would let me help? You know I didn't even finish my training, Tawana. Perhaps I could help you with whatever you're doing instead. Don't you worry. She'll be happy to get some help from someone with your skills. Come with me. I tried to be discreet, looking around again. Tawana turned back to me just in time to see it. Are you looking for someone? A slight smile sat on his face, one that suggested he knew something. He stepped out for a moment. I'm sure he'll be back any minute now. I feigned confusion. Tawana smiled and stared at me a while longer. Then his face became serious and his voice lowered. You need to be careful, though, the two of you. I looked down. If you mean Matthew, we're friends, nothing more. It was true. There were no lies in that statement. Don't worry. I don't know anything, so I won't say anything. Come, there's Nurse Edwards. I followed Tawana, mind reeling and worries flying around. The need for caution kept coming back, and I began to fear that there might really be something to be afraid of. Nurse Edwards, this is Thandui. Thandui? Oh yes, Thandui, of course. The woman stopped, slender and pale from what I gathered was exhaustion, and with a bulging belly that must have been a burden. She wiped the sweat from her brow with one hand, while the other put the clipboard she was holding on the ground. I've been waiting to meet you. Your mother speaks so very fondly of you. She pulled me into a tight embrace and kissed my cheek. I pulled back, surprised. I'd never been embraced by a missus before. Where is your mother? I hope she's all right. She'd said she would come back. She's all right, just tired, madam. Madam? Ha! She cackled and squeezed my hand. Oh, none of that here. Just call me Emma. She rubbed her belly and loosened the Zambia a little. And I will most certainly pass through and see your mother tonight once this little guy stops kicking in there. A much older nurse walked in, face buttoned up and weary as though she did not want to be there. Nurse Edwards, we need you in the next room. At the same moment, like a haunting ghost, Farai appeared and stood by the door, signalling for Tawana. Walk with me, Thandui, said Nurse Edwards. I hear you did some nurse training. I lingered a little, wanting to hear what Farai had to say. Your white man, give him this. It is urgent, was all I managed to glean, and in that moment, before I could hear any more, Nurse Edwards turned back to me at my lack of response. Yes, Madam Emma, but I didn't manage to finish. I had a few months still to go when I left, I said, walking quickly to keep up with her. All right, I see, she said, stopping by one of the beds. She signalled for me to help her prop up the patient, an old, frail man with a tube stuck in his nose and another one in his arm. Good afternoon, Sekuru. The old man smiled at the nurse while I watched her speaking my language naturally as though it was hers too, and found myself somewhat relaxed by it. This is Thandui. She'll be helping me take care of you today, won't you, Thandi? Nurse Edwards said, turning to me. I smiled, but then noticed her eyes lingering on the stubbornness of my hair as it yet again defied gravity. My hand immediately ran over it in an attempt to convince it to lie down to hide. I'm sorry about the hair. I can look for something to cover it up with. Heavens, why? I certainly don't mind. Do you, Sakuru? She asked, turning to the old man, who only shrugged. You know what I wish, though? That mine was even half as full and proud as yours. I looked at her in surprise, almost waiting for her disgust to set in. But it didn't. Now, She peered over to the other room. Can I trust you to finish with Sakuru here and then tend to that poor boy with the broken leg over there? There's a few like him who were on the bus this morning. It's all so terrible, isn't it? I'll ask one of the girls to come and help you so you won't be by yourself. I'm going to see if I can call the doctor again and urge him to hurry so he can help some of our boys who have burn wounds. Is that all right with you, Tandy? I nodded. You, my dear, are a godsend, she said as she took my hands in hers. All right then. It's a full house today, so we'd best get started.